And I'm certain many of the times what comes out of this voice box is useful for me. So, Sujini, the question is, how can I be a happy parent? First question. I think parent is a role. If I can be happy as an individual, then whether I will be happy as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a brother, as a sister, as a member of society, as a friend, all of that might actually come out of that state of happiness. And so when I tell people that I'm a happiness coach, one of the questions that get asked is, how can you coach somebody to be happy? So I ask them a question, what is happiness? And if they tell me that it's a state of mind, then my life becomes a little simpler, right? Because if it's a state of mind, then it depends on the choices that we make. And the choices that we make when we look at, if we were to look at what is it that we want, if we were to look at the life that we have lived so far, and we ask people, what would you like in the future? Chances are that they would look back at their experiences of life. And if I gave them two buckets, one like and what I don't like, two buckets only. And every experience that they've had so far, if they have to put it into one of these two buckets, they would classify them into like and dislike. Like and not like. So if we were to ask people, what would you like for the future? Chances are that they would say, all future experiences that I have, I'd like to be those that go into the like bucket and nothing from the dislike bucket. But that also is not practical. Why? Because I ask people a question. When I tell them this, I ask them a question. Tell me, what is it that you like most in terms of a food item? And they say something. And I tell them, for the next 3 months, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you're getting only that item, nothing else. And I ask them, when do you think it will slip from the like bucket into the dislike bucket? Right? So nothing is permanent. So to be a happy parent, I think we need to be a happy individual. And to be a happy individual, we need to be able to make appropriate choices that give us the greatest potential probability of the future that we would like to create. That's one part. I tell them that 30% of my work is about the future, making appropriate choices for the future. 70% of my work is about making peace with the choices they've already made in life. So I think if we can learn how to manage our emotions, and the two primary emotions that come in the way of us being at peace is anger and two, fear. If you look at these two emotions, they are very, very closely interlinked. Anger is always about the past. Fear is always about the future. And fear is about two things: not getting what I want, losing what I have. Not getting what I want, losing what I have, I'm afraid of it. Anger is only coming up from not getting what I want or losing what I've had. So if you look at it, that's one simple thing. And what is the core of this? There is a certain expectation. There is a certain desire. I'm not going to give a philosophical talk here. That's not my intent. But the fact is, if we make peace with the fact that this is what I desire, this is what I'm expecting, this is what I'm worried about, this is what I'm afraid of, right? Especially when I get to meet people who are associated with truly special beings. I'm not saying this facetiously. I mean every word when I say special beings. They are special. I'll talk about it probably if I can, right? What happens to my child if I'm not there? What happens to my child? I want to make sure that my child is self-sufficient. I think I don't want to keep rambling. So Ginny, to your first question, how can I be a happy parent? First, let us be happy as individuals. Let us understand what comes in the way of us being happy as individuals. We will find that it is one of two things: fear of the future, anger about the past. Let's learn to make peace with both of these things. Let's learn to make peace with the past. And there are certain tools, techniques that I'm happy to share, which can help us greatly assuage our fears of the future. So if we can do this, then chances are that we might be able to have a certain sense of balance, a certain sense of equanimity. And when we have that certain sense of equanimity, chances are that we will be happy. And happiness is very contagious. It definitely rubs off on people. So that's my answer to that very long answer. I'm sorry, I'll try to keep my answers shorter in future, but this is a very long answer. But it is about the individual. There is no other.
Okay.
The second question was, how can I be a loving parent?
Yeah. While
By
being the driving force.
By being a loving parent. Again, it is interlinked to the first answer that I've given, that, what comes in the way of me being loving is the frustration, the irritation, the anger. There is so much more that I have to do, that there are even the simplest of things that my child needs support on. Or I'm worried that my child might not be able to take care of himself or herself, right? We have to make peace with that fear. It is a sign that you care. Rather than looking at it as a weakness, if you can look at it as saying, I have so much of love, I have so much of affection, and I'm going to use this affection, love, and fear. All of the emotions that we are talking about, fear, anger, all of them evolutionarily have come about because they are to make us better. If we learn how to channelize the fear and the anger appropriately, we can create a lot of things. So by being a support, yes, whatever it is that we can do to provide for our child, we do that. But the most important thing that we need to do, the most important thing, is to be equanimous, be balanced, and be happy ourselves, because that will make the greatest difference to everybody else that we come into contact with. Okay, there is.
Okay. There is that, yeah, I read that question, Cheenu, but I think that can also be answered with one of the questions that,
Yeah.
I will just read that out.
Yeah.
One is, I have no time for myself. It becomes very stressful, and I feel very depressed or angry most of the times. So I think that is related to the question asked by our parent Nidhi. So she says, there are days when when I have all the patience in taking care of my child, and some days I completely lose my patience, and then I kind of feel guilty about it. So how do I bring the patience, that patience within myself? How do I keep calm all the time?
Okay, so let me, keeping calm all the time is not appropriate. It is not correct also, right? It is, how do I keep calm by choice? How do I get angry by choice? How do I get agitated by choice? Like I said, there is nothing that is wrong. There is no right, there is no wrong. No emotion that is useless. Every single emotion that we feel is useful. It has its basis in evolution. It has a purpose that it serves, right? So I'll answer the how do I keep calm? Very simple technique. Whenever you get irritated, angry, upset, one simple thing that anybody can do, this has its roots in neuroscience, is to look up at the ceiling. Just look up at the ceiling. If you're sitting like this, leaning forward, just lean back, put your head up, with your eyes open, just look up. Just look up. And if you can, roll your eyes back like you're trying to see the back of your head. Sujini, are you willing to be a guinea pig right now?
Yes, Cheenu.
And
Yes.
the parents who are there, you can try it out for yourself.
Yes. No,
On a scale of
I'm sure most
on
of
a
them are giving it a try now.
yeah, on a scale of 0 to 10, pick an event that happened in the last 1 week that would be a 4 or a 5, maximum 4 or 5, in terms of being, strength of emotion. 10 is traumatic, that you remember it even 10, 12 years later. 0 is normal, 1 is a minor irritation. Up to a 3 or a 4. Pick one, Sujini, that has happened in the last 1 week for you, and identify one event which is a 3 or a 4.
Okay. So one being
Lovely. One is as close to normal as possible.
Okay. And
10 is traumatic. Yeah.
Okay. Last 4 to 5 days. Okay.
Lovely. So I'd like you to close your eyes and relive that event, that incident. See whatever happened then, hear all the things that were heard then, all the sounds, and feel all the feelings that were felt then. And open your eyes. Was it definitely a 3 or a 4 or a 5?
I think the 10, the experience that I was rating as 10, I think I would probably call it 6 or 7 now. It was not as traumatic as I thought it would be.
But now this one that you talked about now, would you call it a 3, 4 or a 5?
Yes.
Lovely. Now, what I'd like you to do is, so first and foremost, roll your eyes up like this, like you're trying to see the top of your head, and lean back and look up at the ceiling. And in that position, try to think of that event again. Keep your eyes open, eyes rolling back like you're trying to see the top of your head. Keep your eyes open, don't keep them closed. Okay, keep your eyes open and look at the top of your head, right? Look at trying to see your eyebrows, and in that position, try to think of that event again. And you can come back now. First question, were you able to think of it?
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was focused.
And even if you did this, right? And I'm sure some of the parents who might have tried this out, even if you were able to think of it, I'm certain that the intensity would have come down greatly. Why? Let me explain the neuroscience behind this. When we are angry, irritated, upset, what is our body posture? Let's look at our own childhood. When we did something that was naughty, and either in school or at home, we were being chastised. How were we standing? Where were we looking, Sujini? Down. When our parents were chastising us, or our school teachers were chastising us, or we had done something stupid, right? We found the floor very, very interesting for 2 reasons. One, if we looked up at our parents or our teachers like this, they would have told us, you did this and you dare look me in the eye. So there is a certain programming that is happening. But more importantly, there are these 2 parts in the brain, small almond-shaped structures called the amygdala, that are right next to the brain stem. That is the emotional control center. When we are looking down, when we are like this, when we are like this, when we are looking forward and the neck is bent, the amygdala are completely engaged and they're fully actioned. They're fully at work. When we look up like this, their ability to exert pressure on you comes down a great deal. 2, when we are looking up, the visual part of the brain starts working. Okay. So these are two reasons why, if I'm going to lose my patience, I'm losing my patience, just look up. You don't need to look up for very long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even if you can't do that, just roll your eyes up like this for a second and bring it down. So that's one way we can retain our ability to not get angry, irritated, upset. Because most of the time when we say something in anger, later we regret it and we feel, oh my God, why did I respond like this? Why did I say this? Right? This will help us reduce that to a great extent. So that's one thing. Second is to acknowledge. Second is to acknowledge. I am feeling irritated. I am feeling angry. I am feeling upset. And what is the reason I am angry or upset? What is it that I am expecting that I'm not getting that makes me angry or upset? See, all of this cannot happen when somebody is angry, irritated, upset. At least later when we go back and we think about it and we say, okay, in this situation, what was it that I was expecting that I did not get that made me angry? And then evaluate whether that is fair and justified. If it is fair and justified, how can I make sure that I have a greater chance of getting it in the future? Right? Otherwise, we will just go through life as though we are hitting our head against a stone, and every time we go past that place, we are hitting our head against the same stone. We have to learn our lessons. So that would be my answer. I don't know if I've answered your question fully.
Thank you, Cheenu. So the next one is, I always feel that it is one goal after the other, and sometimes it's endless, right? It seems endless. And one after the other, I'm trying to achieve with my child, and it's never ending. I feel like I'm a very unsuccessful parent. So one of the questions that has come up is,
you'd be surprised that this is not just somebody with a special child. Every parent goes through life not sure whether they have done a good job of being a good parent. I, as a parent, am not sure if I've done a good job. My mother, she's 83. She's not sure that she's done a good job, and she's still parenting me. So in her mind, she still has goals for her son, right? And she wants to parent. So it's a never-ending cycle. Yes, I agree. But if we look at it as a chore, as something that is foisted on us, then chances are that we will find it tedious, that we will find it extremely taxing, extremely stressful. But if I say that, yeah, I'm going to do the best that I can, right? I'm going to do the best that I can. And I say that we can either be goal-oriented or we can be growth-oriented, right? If every day I aim to become a little better than I was yesterday, just a wee bit better. And better does not mean that, if I run 100 meters in 10 seconds, that tomorrow I have to run it in 9.99 seconds. No. Even if I've run it in 10 seconds or greater than 10 seconds, because not every day is the same as the other. Am I aware? Am I doing the best that I can? Because nobody can be asked to do the more than their own best. If you look at me, I'm obviously not the slimmest of people. If I had to run a race with Usain Bolt, no chances for guessing who will come first. Even though Usain Bolt is retired, right? I might not even be able to beat another person, but that doesn't matter. What matters is, am I doing the best that I can in this circumstance? With my child, I know that I want my child to be one of the biggest things as far as, certain special children are concerned is, what we expect are basic things that they can do to take care of themselves. When they have a challenge with that, it becomes so much more of a pressure for parents because they're really concerned. And the real fear that all those parents have is, after me, who? After me, who will take care of my child? Right? I think we need to make peace with the fact that nobody is ever born depending on another person. Nobody is ever born depending on another person. And there is more goodness in this planet than we give it credit for. Right? So, yes, it is one goal after the other. And if a person, the universe is expanding. In an expanding universe, if we are not growing, we are regressing. So I tell all the people that I work with that we should always be looking at something or the other that we are learning and becoming better at. So if I take that attitude that I'm doing this because I want to become better, chances are that I will be energized. There's another group of people that I work with, Sujini. This is a group of people who are focused on elder care. That is, elder people who are living alone, children are abroad, and this is not a community. Elders, they want to live in their own homes, and these are a set of my friends who have got together and they are providing this as a service to take care of these elders in their own homes as surrogate children, so to say, to make sure that everything is taken care of right from. And very interestingly, when we had a brainstorming session, I said the most important thing for any human being is to have purpose in life. So the company that they have formed is very interestingly called Prayojana Golden Year Services. Right? So we have to be useful. So instead of looking at it saying that, oh my God, one exam after the other, one test after the other, we can look at it as one step after the other. And there is actually no destination. And we have to like the journey as well. I know some of you might be saying that, what the fill in the blanks do you know about the life that we are living in? Or what gives you the right to talk to me like this? No. I work with quite a few people who have challenges of multiple kinds. And I'm saying the same thing to them that I'm saying to you. Let's look at it as an opportunity for us to grow, for us to become better. And how can we make this easier and how can we enjoy the journey?
One question is, social gatherings bring embarrassment. I come home depressed, though I decide not to compare my son with other kids. How do I deal?
So the embarrassment happens only because there is comparison. So let me, one of the things that Sandhya said in an introduction that she gave of me is that I hold up the mirror. I am holding up the mirror right now. That the embarrassment is there is a certain expectation of a certain kind of behavior. Right? And that behavior is in there. And what is called normal behavior. Right? My question to everybody is, who defines normal? What defines normal? And if there is somebody who's going to look at this beautiful being, that is unblemished, it is not been hammered into a shape, it has not been put into a mold and made into a normal average human being. It is choosing to remain as beautiful as the Creator made it to be. And if people have a problem with that child, I would say the people who have a problem with behavior like this, they are the ones who should be ashamed, if at all. And even if you look at it, their problem is they're afraid. Please understand the people who respond to certain kinds of behavior from children. They're afraid because they're used to dealing with the average, the normal. They're used to dealing with the average. They don't know how to respond here. And the fear that they are having, they are projecting onto somebody else and saying, you are the cause of my embarrassment. No, 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 no. So, Malini ma'am, my request to you is, please let your child be. Social gatherings, let your child be. Do the best that you can. Again, if you have done the best that you can, and if somebody has a problem with it, that is their problem. If they don't know how to handle it, ask them to talk to me. I'll help them. I'll give you a small story, ma'am. My son Nishant was I think 3 years old. In Delhi, we were living in Delhi, and there was this huge birthday cake that they had made for his kindergarten schoolmate. They invited him, and a child is a child. He went there, saw a cake, he saw a figure there, he put his hand inside the cake got all the cream, everything went all over the place. He took the figurine and walked away. And that parent had a huge problem with my wife. And my wife said, I was so embarrassed. I said, please don't be. Don't be. Children are expected to be this way. Children are God's expression of innocence, right? So, Malini ma'am, my request to you, please take your child out and let he or she behave the way she or he wants to. Yes, you do what you can, but please, please, no cause for embarrassment. If you had the most precious diamond in your hand, and other people had charcoal in their hand, would you be embarrassed? That is exactly what you have. What we call normal is charcoal. What we call exceptional is the diamond that we have. Let's not try to make diamonds back into charcoal. Charcoal has its uses, but let's not be embarrassed, please.
And is it more important to be a disciplinarian to my child or a loving parent?
Both.
How do we make a balance?
There
How
is
do we know
no...
when to be hard on them, when to be strict, and when to be right, and how to be loving at the same time?
Correct. So it is not a balance. Balance means it has to be equal. It is a blend. It is always a blend, right? When we prepare a dish, we don't put everything in the same measure. Depending on what kind of a dish we are preparing, we create certain recipes. There is a certain amount of salt, a certain amount of sugar, a certain amount of whatever it is. So it is situational. How do I blend this appropriately? By practice. How do I ensure that I'm not going overboard on anything? One of the most beautiful things about special children is they sense what's going on here. Silence is the most powerful communication medium, right? So they sense it. If we can consistently, constantly ensure that what we are saying is done with care, with loving, with compassion. Every client session I start with this statement. My mission in life is to make the greatest possible positive difference in the life of every being that I can, and to do it in a manner that is kind, compassionate, loving, and caring. And we make that investment in being kind, compassionate, loving, and caring. Even if I were to say something that was supposedly harsh, people don't take it amiss at all. Because when it is coming from a place of care, when it is coming from a place of love, when it is coming from a place of kindness and caring, the message will go through. So, yes, I absolutely agree that there are some times that, especially if it is a behavior or something that the child can harm himself or herself, we definitely need to get the message across. We definitely need to sometimes scream and shout, because that is one way of communicating. And if we can communicate that to the child, saying that you need to be, you need to take care of yourself, I think it's a very, very appropriate thing to do. And if you don't know how to handle it, and you handle it the best way you can, and later you find out that there's a better way of handling it, please be nice to yourself. One of the common statements that I make to all the people that I have the honor of working with is be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Listen to what you're telling yourself in your own head. I once, Madhuri was saying that she found out that I was a golfer. So I was playing golf with this very, very, very senior executive of a company. And the person would hit a bad shot, and then they would call themselves all kinds of names. They'll curse themselves and all of that. So I just kept quiet. I watched that for 2 or 3 days that I played with them. The fourth day, they hit a shot, and before they could say anything, I started cursing them exactly the same things that they would curse themselves. They looked at me and said, "Why are you saying this to me?" I said, "Oh, you have a problem when somebody else says that to you. And you say it to yourself all the time." I said, "If you will not take this from another person, you shouldn't take it from yourself as well." So, yes, we have to blend discipline into the process, but the bedrock, the envelope, the entire envelope in which all of this exists is loving, kindness, caring, and compassion. Anything that you do from these 4 places cannot be wrong. And please be nice to yourself, ma'am or sir, whoever it is. I shouldn't be saying this.
Right, I think, all our life we've only been taught about how to balance and balance. And I really like the way you put it, it's blending of so many things. And maybe we should just stop, trying to strike a balance and just, try and work towards blending all the emotions and everything together. Thank you.
If we were emotionless, Sujani, we would be machines. If we were emotionless, we would not be human. Let's just take one step, one small thing that I wanted to share. Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, was asked, "What do you think is the defining moment in the evolution of humankind?" And Margaret Mead said, "We came across a healed thigh bone. That is the defining moment of the evolution of humankind." So the interviewer asked, "What do you mean?" And she said, "In the animal kingdom, if the thigh bone of an animal breaks, it's dead. Why? It cannot hide, it cannot escape from predators. It cannot go and get food. And it takes 3 weeks for the thigh bone to heal. And for 3 weeks, if this being has been alive, not been eaten up or killed by something else, that it has allowed the thigh bone to heal, that means there were other beings that were providing food and protection, without which humankind would not have evolved." So the defining moment in the evolution of humankind is a healed thigh bone. Contrast this in a herd of antelopes and deer. They're supposed to be very docile beings, right? They can be very cruel. That is hard-coded into them. If there was an injured, sick deer or antelope, they would not be in the center of the herd, they would be in the fringes. So that any predator that came would take the injured one or the ill one rather than the healthy ones. In us humans, if there was an injured or an ill person, we would make sure that they are right in the middle, they are protected. That makes us human. So we need to be able to blend. We are caring for such wonderful beings, and regardless of what anybody says. I have written on this saying that they are not special within quotes. They are actually special. They're special. So I think, we need to blend it. We need to be kind to ourselves. When we are kind to ourselves, we can be kind to everybody else.
Next question, Cheenu, we can take from parent Preeti. I think it's more on self-improvement. She says, "Hello, sir. I get panic often. I know the situation is not in my control. Despite that, I go into a panic mode. How do I improve myself?"
Correct, ma'am. So let's handle panic at the physiological level first. Then we'll handle it at the emotional and mental level. At the physiological level, to handle panic, just become aware when you're panicking, ma'am, you would be breathing very shallow and very fast. Consciously deepen the breath. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about gradual, easy breathing. And make sure that breath goes into your stomach. And exhale slowly. Why am I saying this? When we are in panic, there are certain set of biochemicals that start functioning in the body. Adrenaline, cortisol. They are all looking at it from the original fear of loss of life. And therefore, adrenaline, cortisol, all of that starts pumping. So the best way to handle that is to breathe. And when we are in that kind of fear, we are trying to run away or we are trying to fight. Both those times, blood supply is stopped to all non-essential parts of the body except the parts that are used for running away or for fighting. So the way we can handle that is to bring our heart rate down. The easiest way to bring our heart rate down is to breathe with awareness. Just breathing. Count of 5. When you're inhaling, count to 5. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Breathe in. And breathe out to the same 5. If possible, breathe out to 6 or 7. So time your breathing in for 4 or 5 seconds, out for 6 or 7 seconds. That will handle at the physiological level, it will handle the control of all the panic, the emotions will come a little under control. I'm not giving you some mumbo jumbo. This is based on my own personal research of about 500 to 600 hours of research on this subtopic of fear. And there is enough and more data research that has been done by people with MRI, with all kinds of things. To handle your panic, breathe. Breathe deliberately, not deep breath. Breathe very deliberately, slowly. Both the inhale and the exhale, slow it down. That's the first step. The second step in terms of handling panic is, what is the fear? What is the fear? How can I handle the worst case scenario? And using that panic situation to find out, how can I prevent this from happening in the future? I think that would be the next step. All of these are questions that require a lot of one-on-one. And I say this, please, Sujini, Madhuri, any one of the parents who would like to speak more about this, if they want to connect with me, absolutely fine. They can call me up, they can speak to me. I'm happy to offer whatever little I have in terms of sharing that. Panic is fear.
Thank you so much. What we'll do is, after the call, we will share your details in our group, and parents can reach out to you.
Yeah.
There's one question that's actually in the top of the chat box. It's from one of our parent, Amisha Katira. Yeah. She says, I have twin kids, age 10 years, both boys. One has special needs. And And another one is a normal child. How to manage both the kids. I'm alone at home. My husband is working, and at times I get frustrated, and I think I have a lot of fear. So,
Um, I was just, I think last week I was watching a talk on TED, where somebody who's done a lot of work with children who have special needs said something very interesting. The first step, the only step that we need to do is to treat them as normal with certain changes to our behavior. It's not that they are different and therefore we are behaving differently. They are normal. We have to adopt. I also was doing a certain amount of research on why do children uh, of the same parents have different kinds of makeup, right? There's a lot of work that's been done in that area. So again here, Preeti, I think it's about, sorry, Amita, right?
Amisha.
Amisha, I think it's about handling your emotions. A couple of these techniques that I've shared, when you're feeling fear, if you can do that, that might help you. Because when we are in that state of fear and panic, brain doesn't work properly. So what I'm asking you to do is to breathe deliberately so that the brain can function properly. When your brain functions properly, you'll be in a resource state to handle whatever it is that is going on. And that's the reason I'm saying this. I cannot give you a one size fits all answer here. And if there are specific things that are repetitive, then we can find out a specific response that might be useful. I'm happy to co-create that with you, Amisha. Please feel free to reach out. It'll be my pleasure, my honor to be of support and service.
And I want to use this opportunity, Cheenu, to also share with Amisha and other parents that, at Mitra for Life, we do have programs to support mothers and to provide ideas and resources to handle such situations. So do reach out to us. So we have a Pranetra program which we have launched. We will talk about it in some time, and also a parent support group. So I request parents to reach out to us and connect with us and be a part of all our programs.
I'd like to take that question from Chitra. Right, yes. which is manipulative.
Can I read it out?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is from Chitra Subramanian. How to control own emotions when provoked. My daughter is very manipulative and exploits us by shouting, screaming, and embarrassing us just to get her way. She is an adult under autism, extremely intelligent, but always, it's my way or highway. Doesn't try to listen.
Yeah, ma'am, this is behavior that all children have. Children by nature are manipulative. Every child is manipulative. And I'm going to make a very, very sweeping statement. Many people might not like me. Each and every one of us is manipulative. Each and every one of us wants it our way. If I flip this, Chitra ma'am, to you, you are being manipulative because you want your daughter to behave the way you want her to behave. It's just the frame through which we look at. I understand what you're saying. I'm not trifling. I'm not brushing aside what you're saying. I understand it can be quite irritating, embarrassing when children throw tantrums. They do emotional blackmail. There, you need to develop the mental strength, the emotional strength to be firm. I wrote an article for this magazine called Parent Edge on how parenting and leadership are very, very aligned. And I said, we need to tell people, there have to be repercussions, there have to be some consequences for bad behavior. And we must have the emotional strength to follow through on the repercussions for bad behavior, right? We shouldn't give in We shouldn't be racked by guilt. We should not think that we are being a bad parent. If you pander to every single request that your child has, then what you're creating is a brat. And that's not appropriate. So when will she know that shouting, screaming will not have an effect? When it doesn't have an effect. So once she knows that it will not work, she is using that embarrassment value, and you are letting her use that embarrassment value. When you choose not to be embarrassed, it no longer will work. So please develop certain resilience, and like I said, blend the discipline with the love and care so that she understands. And as long as you keep saying she doesn't understand, you're not going to change anything about your behavior. My request to you is, I have yet to inspire my daughter to learn how to behave. Then responsibility squarely comes on you, and you need to be the kind of parent that you can teach. So no slow learners, Ritika. There are no slow learners. They all learn at their own pace. There are no slow learners. There is a certain, I understand, I'm not, again, please don't think that I am trying to, sugarcoat something. I'm not.
No, so actually he had a very bad medical issue when he was a neonatal. He had IVH, and then hydrocephalus was formed, and he was shunted twice, and he had 4 major brain surgeries. So it was a developmental delay which the doctors diagnosed. So otherwise,
Yeah.
you say so, please.
If he were the only child on the planet, ma'am, if he was the only child on the planet, would you still say that was developmental delay, or would you say that this is the normal course of development?
Normal course of development. He's a kid, and
Exactly.
he's just another kid after all.
Exactly. So this slow learner, my only request is, don't put these labels of slow learner, challenged, and all of those things. If you take that child in isolation as the only child, then that child is perfect.
Sir, you're the first one who is saying me this. नहीं तो हमेशा कोई ना कोई बोलता है कि इसको ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये प्रॉब्लम है. You're the first one who is saying कि he's just a child after all.
He's just a child. If I don't know how to teach you, I cannot blame you. Ma'am, do you know the origin of tests that we have in schools today? The origin of creating tests in schools was made to check if the teacher was teaching properly. To check if the teacher was teaching properly, certain other people would come and ask the students some questions. And by the answers that the students gave, the teacher would be graded. We have flipped that entire thing, and we have made it the responsibility of the child. We have made it the responsibility of the parents. It's like a machine shop, we are trying to manufacture human beings of a certain form, shape. That is absolute nonsense. This is a subject matter that is very close to my heart, ma'am. I mean this when I say this. There is not a single being on the planet that is deficient to another. There is nobody who's superior. There is nobody who's inferior. There is nobody who's equal also. Each and every one of us is unique. Unique. Let us understand one thing. When we say average, everybody wants them to be above average. And everybody wants their children to be above average. Isn't that selfish? Because the average is the sum total divided by the number of people. number of instances. So it absolutely means that there will be some below the line, there will be some above the line. If I flip the chart, those that are supposed to be below the line are above the line. The way I look at things makes all the difference. So absolutely, I understand. If your child has had during pregnancy, he's had various things, he's had surgeries. That is because he's unique. Let's not try to take another mold and put it on top of him. Please not. Let's celebrate what he is. He's unique. He's unique.
Yes, sir. And I tried. I do celebrate whatever small things, matlab, he says or achieves, and it's a blessing for
Absolutely.
us.
Ma'am, it is not a small thing, ma'am.
नहीं मतलब लो शायद हाँ
No,
for
no, no, no,
us
no,
it's
no.
big.
No, no, no. It is not small or big. Even that is comparison.
Yes, sir.
Whatever. If I can celebrate everything that the child does, I'm telling you, the person who will be happiest is you in the first place.
Yes, sir.
And if, Ritika, if anybody in your friend or family circle thinks that you are mad to be celebrating your child, they are entitled to their opinion. I'll give you a small example. Somebody told me once, this is not a special child, but a special person of 38 when I started working with them. And this person was having a lot of anger, couldn't speak to, somebody in the family reached out and said, can you also work with this person? I said, I can be there. And if that power decides to use me as the conduit to work with this person, it'll work. So when I started working with this person, the person said, they're all doing all kinds of things. They are angering me. So I asked, tell me one thing that makes you angry. They call me a certain term that makes me irritated, angry. I said, okay, lovely. And I said, what's the worst insult you can give to somebody? So, he doesn't speak very well. It's a little difficult for him to speak, put words together. He said, I will call you dirty pig. So I said, please call me a dirty pig. He said, no, I can't. I said, no, you know my name, Cheenu. So say, Cheenu, you're a dirty pig. So it took about 10 minutes for him to tell me, Cheenu, you're a dirty pig. And I looked at him and said, nah, I want you to say it in anger. So he said, Cheenu, you're a dirty pig. So I said, yes, I'm the dirtiest pig in all of the universe. And he looked at me and he said, that is because you have decided not to get angry. I said, exactly my point, my friend, exactly my point. You have a choice whether you can get angry. You have a choice to feel afraid. You have a choice to feel embarrassed. You have a choice to feel happy. Choose wisely. Ritika ma'am, it's exactly the same thing. You have a choice.
The next question, Cheenu, is as a parent, we don many hats. One is a teacher, a guide, a parent. How do we decide when to be what? Or I know you said it's a blend of everything together, but then it's always a battle in the mind, constant battle in the mind.
It's a battle if you think it's a battle. Okay, so I gave you the example of my mother. My sister is 7 years senior to me and she's 62. And my mother is 82. And my mother is asking her all kinds of questions. And I, in my wisdom, I tell my mother, Amma, she is herself a grandmother. Do you have to keep saying all of this? My mother looks at me and she says very, very matter-of-factly, and she's still my child. Right? So we will always be a parent. I've told my children, don't expect me to be your friend. I'll never be your friend. I'll be a parent first, a friend next. I'll always be your parent. I'll always care for you. And I'll always say things that you need to hear, but not necessarily what you like to hear. Even today, I have spoken much of what I think people need to hear, not necessarily what they like to hear. And this is something I tell people, I'm not here to win a popularity contest. I'm here to make the greatest possible positive difference. And I'll do it the best way I can. So, when do I decide to be a parent? When do I decide to be a teacher? When do I decide to be a counselor? When do I decide to be a guide? Nah, they're all one. They're all one. I cannot see which part of you can you say that you are the parent? Which part of you can you say that you are the guide? You know, these are demarcations that we come up with because we are trying to find a way in which we can say, which area do I need to fix? We need to fix the whole, not parts. And yes, if I need to become a better parent, I need to be a better teacher. I need to be a better support. I need to be a better counselor. And I need to learn all the time, right? And I know many people say, where do we have the time? We are always doing this. Be grateful that you're given this wonderful opportunity. You know, I don't know how many of you who are on this meeting believe in this concept of God. I do. So let me ask you this question, Sujini. And this is a question I'm asking to all parents. You have a wonderful, precious stone that you have. And it needs to be given to somebody for safekeeping. Who will you give it to, Sujini?
My daughter.
Why?
Because she knows it's very important and she will safeguard it.
Yeah.
And I trust her.
Thank you. That's the most important. So all of you parents out there who are listening to this, that thing has given you a wonderful, wonderful thing. Because that trusts you to take care of this wonderful jewel, right? I once had a person who was in the business of granite. And they had one large piece of stone which they were using as a paperweight. They could not cut it, they were keeping it as a paperweight. So this friend of mine, his wife, when she was a kid, she and her sister were in that office and they were using this paperweight and playing. It fell on the ground and it chipped. When they chipped, he found out that there was something that was there. It was a little different color. He took it. And then when he took it and they started polishing it, they found out that it was arguably the world's largest double star ruby. Right? Till that moment, till it fell down, it was just a stone from the quarry. When it fell down and they polished it, they found out it was a gem. Even gems, we give it value. It's just a composition of chemicals undergoing a lot of pressure. So, each and every one of you, please understand that you have one of those wonderful things with you. You are blessed. You might not believe so. You might think that I'm being facetious, that I'm saying these nice words. These are all good for movies, but this is not good for real life. Nah, I mean it. I mean it. And your life will change remarkably and for the better. And when you do a good job, there is nothing better than the sense of fulfillment and satisfaction that you will get from doing a good job to this wonderful, absolutely unblemished being that you have in your life?
Well, Cheenu, I think if we had all the time, I think we can just continue getting inspired and getting enlightened, and it's basically a reflection of our thoughts and emotions. But I just had one more question. One of the parent had asked us in one of the recent interactions is, every day it is really busy, with the child, attending to their needs and giving them medicines and their activities, their online classes and everything. What about me? What about how do I stay motivated? How do I get that me time? What about my hobbies, my interests? Uh, how do I schedule time to work on things that I like for myself? Where is my identity?
Okay. So Sujini, Madhuri was telling you, no, that she didn't like, she went through a prioritization session with me, right? If you were this person, you have a daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay. You could either do everything for your daughter, or you can do everything for yourself. Choose one. If you do something for your daughter, you will not be able to do anything for yourself. If you take care of yourself, you'll be able to do nothing for your daughter. They are mutually exclusive. Choose one.
If I have to choose one, then I'll go with doing everything for my daughter.
That's it.
So that's where my identity is. But can't it be? Can't I figure out a way where
You
I
can.
include my daughter in part of
You can.
something that I want to do?
You can. And I'm happy to talk about it at length because it's a question of prioritizing, identifying what is the key aspects of what you want to do for your daughter or your son or your child. What is it that is non-negotiable as far as you're concerned for yourself? Let me put it differently. If you don't take care of yourself, where is you to take care of your daughter, Sujini? So you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself. I had my father's friend used to tell me, he would say it in Tamil. He said, which means unless you have a canvas, you can't paint. So unless this is there, it cannot take care of another person. So yes, you need to find that time for yourself to do those things that are important for you. That is one. Another way is there is a choice. I can say, oh my God, I have to do all these things. Or I can say, I'm choosing to do these things because this is important. That one simple choice. I tell, you are talking about my coffee. Because when I prepare that coffee, the only reason for my existence on the planet is that coffee that I'm making. The only reason for my existence on this planet at this point in time is this group of people who have taken their time to come and listen to me, to share their life with me, to ask these wonderful questions. If I don't give 100% here, what's the point? So can I be 100% with giving the medicine to my child? Can I be 100% with that? And can I be 100% when I'm resting? Can I be 100%? It is possible. Sujini, you're aware that we do run programs on managing oneself and making sure that we're able to do all these things. It is possible. It is a question of prioritizing. There are certain tools, techniques that we can use to understand what is the most important thing that we need to do. What are the top 3 things that I need to do for my child? What are the top 3 things that I need to do for myself? So my life will be these 6 things. Only when I've done these 6 things properly will I even look at anything else. So I think it is a question of technique. It's a question of process. It's a question of having the discipline, the knowledge and the discipline to follow through. That's what I think it would be.
Thank you, Cheenu. I think, yeah, we've run out of time, and I would say it's really unfortunate we have to wind up. But definitely, Cheenu, we would want to organize a workshop for our parents.
Happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
Happy to do that. Happy to come back again and bore you people with some more gyan if you want me to. Happy to do that, because it is what it is, right?
Right. No, it won't be boring, Cheenu. A lot of parents are really inspired by today's session, and we will share Cheenu's details in our group, and parents, please feel free to connect with Cheenu.
Yeah, just send me a note, because there are quite a few people who send messages to me, and so unless you give me a reference to context, I'll be completely lost.
Sure. Maybe they can just tag Mitra for life, so that way you would know.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cheenu. Sandhya ma'am, over to you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful words. And thanks, Sujani. And before we end the session, a few lines about Mitra. So Mitra for Life, Parents Forum organizes online meets every Thursday, 4 to 5 p.m. Our sessions are free. Everyone is welcome. To stay updated with our programs, please join our WhatsApp group. To join, message Parents Forum to 97400-93408 or log into www.mitraforlife.org. So that is the information. You find it on the screen as well. Move on to the next one. So we have recently launched a new parent support program called Pranetra. Sujani was mentioning about it. So that's why I'm going to just brief you about that. Called Pranetra, aimed at parents of 3 to 10-year-old special needs children. So this is specifically for them. So kindly reach out to us for any details.
Right. Sandhya ma'am, I just want to add that so this program is curated for children, for parents of children 3 to 10-year-old, wherein we provide all the support, ideas, and resources to empower the parent, especially during the COVID stay-home months. So please do reach out to us and join our weekend program. Thank you. Over to you, Sandhya ma'am. Sorry about that.
No, thank you. So it's my pleasure to thank Mr. Cheenu Srinivasan for a truly interesting, inspiring session. You have really, yes, sir.
Thank you.
You have really given us a different perspective. And all of us are going to personally benefit from your motivating and inspiring words today. And I have no doubts in that, sir. All of us, I include everybody in this. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the parents for joining us today. And I hope to see your continued support in all our upcoming sessions. So thank you all and have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cheenu.
My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Cheenu. Wonderful session. Thanks so much. I'm going to, make sure we follow up on what we said about having a workshop with you. I'd love to do a whole bunch of goal setting and prioritizing for the parents and all of us also. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Cheenu, so
Thank you.
much.
Bye-bye.
Namaskaram.
Namaskar. Bye-bye.
I think we're all going to have a very wonderful day after listening to your session. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, please share sir's number, please.
Yes, it will be shared in the group. You can join if you're not part of the WhatsApp group. Do join, and we'll share all the details in that group.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.